Hello everyone, today we're going to be talking about the best armor sets for you to be crafting in Monster Hunter Wilds, as they come not only with the best skills, both offensively and defensively, as well as the best decoration slots. So these are the armor pieces that you are going to be crafting if you want to make the best endgame sets. So with that being said, my name is darkhero and let's get started. And the first armor set that we're going to be talking about is going to be the Guardian arkfeld armor set. And I'm particularly fond of this armor set for a couple of reasons. Not only does it look beautiful visually with all of the chains and the different colorful accents, but it also has a very good set bonus, and that is Decimator. By having 2 or 4 armor pieces equipped from the Guardian arkfeld armor set, you'll be able to restore health whenever you destroy a monster's wound. On screen now you'll be able to see the difference between having Decimator 1 or Decimator 2 equipped and how much it affects the health you heal whenever you destroy a wound. This set bonus allows you to be much more aggressive when fighting monsters, as a lot of the gameplay loop of Monster Hunter Wilds already revolves around applying wounds to monsters and attacking them to deal increased damage. So being able to heal while doing so is of course going to be very beneficial, and while it's not directly going to contribute to you dealing more damage, if you end up getting hit you won't need to stop and drink a potion. You can instead use the monster as a healing pool from which you can get a lot of sustain by simply dealing damage. Now of course the counter argument is that just don't get hit, which is certainly true, but Decimator allows you to have a very comfortable set that is going to be effective across all skill levels and is even going to be boosted by skills such as Recovery Up that will increase the amount of healing that you'll be able to obtain by destroying a wound. You can also opt to go with only a couple of armor pieces and get Decimator 1 and combine with more offensive pieces to get a very cool mix that is both offensive but also has that extra utility. I'm working on a video where I cover some of the best lifesteal builds that you can do with Decimator, so stay tuned for that. Now as we talk about the rest of the skills that come with the Guardian arkfeld set, the most important one is going to be Weakness Exploit, as it is one of the best offensive skills you can get in the game. That said, the skill has been heavily nerfed from what it was back in World, especially back when the game released, but it is still incredibly effective, as once you reach level 5, getting 30% affinity by simply hitting a monster's weak point, which ideally you're going to be doing anyways, is a very good benefit. Now the additional 20% affinity you get by hitting a monster's wounds is very rarely going to be active, as a lot of the times you'll be breaking a monster's wound in the same combo that you actually apply it. Though that said, if you can, try not to use your focus strike as much so that you can take advantage of Weakness Exploit for as long as possible. That said, the Guardian arkfeld Vambraces are a very good piece, coming with Weakness Exploit level 2 and 3 level 1 decoration slots, though ideally they would be a little bit better to slot in an additional offensive skill. The Greaves also come with Weakness Exploit, albeit level 1, coupled with Elemental Absorption, which is a nice skill to have, as Elemental Absorption will increase your elemental attack and resistance to an element after taking damage from it, and you can actually trigger this by doing a perfect dodge with the dual blades or the bow, or by simply blocking an attack. So you don't have to go out of your way to get hit by an attack to proc this effect. You can have a good time on Elemental Absorption, but the skill itself isn't particularly good, so I don't think it's worth considering getting this armor piece. Now the helmet and the waist are actually quite appealing, given that they come with flair and have a decent amount of decorations, especially the helmet. That said, there are a couple of problems with the skill flair. On one hand, the skill is meant to be used as a way to inflict wounds easier on the monsters, therefore having perfect synergy with the Decimator set bonus. Part Breaker is also a nice skill to have, as it's going to make it easier for you to cut monsters' tails or break their parts, but it is also unfortunately bugged, as the additional damage you get from destroying a wounded focus strike is not really there. And even if it was, as I explained before with Weakness Exploit, you kinda want to avoid using focus strike and want to use it at the last moment, so you just don't get a lot of value out of Part Breaker. Though it should be noted that both Flair and Part Breaker have the added benefit of whenever you break a monster apart or whenever you destroy a wound, you get additional materials from the monster right away. So you could effectively use these two skills as a way to get a little bit more materials, which is going to be especially useful in the endgame grind for the Artian weapons, which has you trading items to get more materials for those weapons. This set also comes with Blight Resistance, which is a nice bonus to have on top, but it's nothing too special, as blights can be easily cured, and the Guardian's Protection set bonus, Ward of Wyveria, really isn't anything too special, and I would never go out of my way to obtain this set bonus. So overall, the Guardian arkfeld is a very comfy set that can gain access to a lot of good skills and has a decent amount of decoration slots, to the point where it warrants placing this armor set on the video, but it's not quite at the same level as the rest of the armor sets I'll show you in a moment. And the next armor set we're going to be talking about is going to be the Guardian fulgur Engineer armor set, and I'm just gonna call it Engineer since it it's the only one that it's available in the game, so I don't keep repeating myself over and over. Now this set is not good for its set bonus, as you can totally ignore it, as all it does is give you additional stamina. You can get some additional stamina out of the 2-piece set bonus, which is decent, but honestly I would never go out of my way to obtain this set bonus. What's good here is a couple of armor pieces that give you some very powerful skills, with the helmet being the first standout piece, as it comes with 1 level 2 decoration slot and 2 levels of agitator. And agitator is actually quite good, as not only does it give you a meaningful amount of attack, but also a decent amount of affinity, with the only requirement being that the monster needs to be enraged for you to get the bonus. And at agitator level 5 you'll gain 20 attack and 15% affinity, so again it's definitely quite good. The problem with agitator, however, is that currently we don't get a lot of monsters that instantly become enraged, or we don't have mechanics to instantly enrage monsters like we had in Iceborne, for example, because in Iceborne you could use the clutch claw and that would guarantee that the monster would become enraged, and therefore you would have a near perfect uptime on the agitator being active. Here in Wilds you're not going to have agitator active all of the time, so that is going to diminish how effective this skill can be. This armor set also has a couple of pieces with maximum might, those being the chest piece and the vambraces, both of which have maximum might level 1, but the chest piece has 1 level 2 slots and 2 level 1 slots, whereas the vambraces has 2 level 2 slots. And since maximum might is a very powerful skill, as it can give you up to 30% affinity at level 3, so long as your stamina is maxed out, you can effectively max out the skill by just equipping this piece and adding 2 decorations on top. The waist and the greaves are also quite decent, but I wouldn't say that they are very good, as you can easily get stamina surge out of a level 1 decoration, and none of these has a level 3 decoration slot. So if you are using this armor set, you are likely only using it for one of these 3 different armor pieces, most likely the helmet, but given how these 3 pieces are this much efficient, I think it warrants putting them on the list. And the next armor set on the list is going to be none other than the Gore magala armor set. And let me tell you, this set is pretty fantastic. And let's start with the set bonus, as it is by far the coolest thing that this set has going on. The 2-piece and 4-piece set bonus Black Eclipse makes it so that whenever you are fighting large monsters, you'll be infected with frenzy. And much like when fighting against frenzy monsters, you can overcome this ailment by simply attacking the monsters, upon which you'll get a nice bonus. And whenever you overcome this frenzy, not only do you get 15% additional affinity, but you also get some additional attack, which is going to be further boosted by having the 2-piece or the 4-piece set bonus, with the 2-piece set bonus giving you 5 raw attack and a 4-piece set bonus giving you 15 raw attack. This set bonus combines perfectly with the skill antivirus, which can be found on the greaves or on a level 1 decoration, and its effect gives you additional affinity after getting frenzy, with level 3 giving you 15% additional affinity. Now unfortunately this is not the right number, as the level 3 effect actually only gives you 10% affinity despite what the game tells you. I'm not sure if it's bugged or if it's a mistranslation, but that is something for you to keep in mind. And given that the Gore Greaves beta come with 1 level 3 decoration slot and 2 level 1 decoration slots, you can effectively get antivirus level 3 by using those 2 level 1 slots to get antivirus 3 and then add a skill like weakness exploit to it. So it is a very efficient pair of greaves. The helmet is also a very solid option, giving you evade window, a fantastic defensive skill, and coalescence level 1. And coalescence is actually a very powerful skill, though it needs to have the right build to make use of it, as the skill only becomes active after you recover from a blight or abnormal status, which of course combines perfectly with the frenzy, as it counts as one of them, allowing you to constantly activate coalescence on your build and giving you a nice increase to your elemental damage and status buildup. Additionally, the helmet comes with a level 3 decoration slot and a level 1 decoration slot, so it is quite decent, with the chest piece and the vambraces also having decent slots, and the waist being especially appealing, though it comes with constitution, which is a skill that can be found on level 1 decorations and is not that useful for a lot of weapons. All in all, the Gore magala set isn't incredibly exciting, but it is good enough to the point where you can dip into 2 different armor pieces to get the set bonus, as the 15% affinity you get from having the frenzy does not change whether you have the 2-piece or the 4-piece set bonus. And you can then of course add the level 1 decorations for antivirus to get 10% additional affinity, effectively giving you access to 25% affinity without having to rely on a weird condition. You simply attack the monster, you get the frenzy bonus, and you get 25% affinity. As such, it is a very comfortable set for you to be running, where you don't need to think about anything and you are going to benefit from everything you have. Now the next armor set I'm going to be showing you is the arkfeld armor set. That's right, the second out of the arkfeld armor set. And and this one is actually way better for a couple of reasons. For one, it has amazing decoration slots, as you can tell by the helmet, the chest piece, the vambraces, and even the greaves have a decent amount of decoration slots. Additionally, this set comes with a couple of particularly spectacular pieces, those being the arkfeld male beta and the arkfeld coil beta. As I explained before, weakness exploit is a very powerful skill. Well, this armor piece comes with 1 point in weakness exploit and 1 level 3 decoration slot, which allows you to then have 2 weakness exploit on top of an additional level 2 decoration slot that you can then use to put something like maximum might, which is also a very powerful offensive skill. So in terms of skill efficiency, this is fantastic. The waist also coming with weakness exploit level 2, again given how powerful the skill is very beneficial, as with the waist and the chest piece alone you'd be able to have weakness exploit level 3 without any additional decorations, so you can then just slap on the exploiter charm 2 to get weakness exploit level 2 and you would be immediately at weakness exploit level 5. Not to mention that the couple of level 1 decoration slots can be useful for a couple of quality of life skills like Divine Blessing, and recovery speed, albeit not a very good skill, can end up healing a decent chunk of your red health over the course of a hunt. It's at this point that I should mention the hasten recovery effect, the set bonus from having 2 or 4 pieces from the arkfeld armor set. Now the description of this armor set makes it seem a little bit weird, but it basically means that so long as you keep attacking a monster, your health will keep regenerating with a few different ticks, so it's not quite lifesteal, but it's more like a healing effect that you put on yourself so long as you keep on dealing damage. And overall it's not quite as effective as the decimator set bonus from the guardian arkfeld. The healing that you get from this is a lot more subtle, but if you are a good player that only gets hit every once in a while, it's good enough to keep you topped up at all times. With this armor set you also get convert element level 3, with the helmet, the vambraces, and the greaves all giving you level 1 convert element. Now convert element works similarly to elemental absorption, where you don't actually need to get hit, you can block an attack or perfectly dodge with the dual blades or the bow and retain the benefits from convert element. And the benefits here are actually quite good, as if you are playing with the dragon weapon, the additional dragon attack that you get from it will allow you to easily reach the elemental cap and thus deal a lot more elemental damage. That said, elemental damage isn't the best thing in this game. I'm going to have a dedicated video where I talk about raw versus elemental damage and how you should try to make builds around each during a different situation, so while it can be good to have convert element, it's really not a high priority. And that's honestly a bit of a shame considering how good the arkfeld helmet beta is. I mean, look at those decoration slots. Now before we go over the final armor set, I do have a couple of honorable mentions that I do want to talk about, as they're almost on the same level but just not quite. Now the radar armor set actually has a lot of bonuses that are quite powerful. The beta set by itself gives you latent power level 2, which can give you a massive boost to your affinity and also reduce your stamina depletion at the same time. I mean, at level 5 you get 50% additional affinity and reduce your stamina depletion by 50%, so that is amazing. However, of course, the thing with latent power is that you need to take damage or be in combat for a certain period of time for the skill to be active. Now the cool thing about latent power is that it actually works with the corrupted mantle, so in case you don't know, this mantle makes you so that your health is going to be drained over time and you get additional affinity and attack by having this equipped. And this will actually shorten the time it takes to activate latent power by a lot. From my testing, it takes 1 minute and 50 seconds to activate latent power by itself if you don't take damage, and if you put on the mantle it only takes 45 seconds for it to be active. So that is something for you to consider when using the radar set. Now the cool thing about it is that the set bonus actually extends the activation time for latent power, allowing the skill to be active for much longer, and again having 50% additional affinity at level 5 is pretty bonkers. The set also gives you a couple of additional skills, but I wouldn't honestly bother with them too much. The only noteworthy is maximum might out of all of these in my opinion. And the thing about it is that at the current point in Monster Hunter Wilds, I don't think that latent power is quite as good because monsters simply don't have a lot of health. However, as we get more powerful monsters with a lot more health, latent power is going to become much more appealing because the fights are going to take longer. Therefore, latent power is going to be active for a much longer percentage of the hunt, because if you go with latent power against a tempered Raidao, for example, you're going to almost kill it before latent power is active. So this set is very appealing and is likely going to get better with time, but I just wouldn't recommend you to go ahead and make it right now unless you are a newer player that takes longer on their hunts. If you see that your timer usually takes around 10 to 15 minutes, then in those instances the Raidao armor set is actually going to be very powerful. The new Udra armor set also has a couple of pieces that are worth mentioning, with the helmet being being especially powerful if you're looking into any build that uses both Resentment and Counter-Strike. Now the set bonus for the new Udra set is not that good. It basically is going to give you additional damage whenever you have Resentment active, which requires you to have red health available, which is kind of tricky to get active, and even then the bonus you get out of it really isn't that good. But Counter-Strike is actually a very powerful skill, one that I'll talk about in a separate video, but basically whenever you are knocked back, and that is sent all the way down to the ground, not just a small hit that trips you, you're going to get a pretty big attack bonus. As you can see at level 3 you get 25 raw attack with an extended time period. The cool thing about Counter-Strike is that it works with skills that have hyper armor, and that is what allows this skill to actually be quite good. And given that Counter-Strike is a skill that only requires level 2 decoration slots, this helmet would allow you to max out Counter-Strike and also give you 1 level in Resentment. So it is quite a good piece. Now the Greaves, these are incredibly powerful. They give you burst level 1, which is one of the best skills in the entire game. I'll talk more about this in a moment. And also another level 3 decoration slot, which is what you need to get burst, so you can then have burst level 2 or add weakness exploits or another powerful skill like that. The level 1 decoration slot is a nice bonus, and windproof is very rarely going to come into the equation, but that is something you can get on top. The rest of the pieces don't really matter too much unless you're going for a Resentment focused build, which you're very rarely going to be doing. Hopefully Valstrax is added to the game so we can actually make good use of this, but until then just focus on these two different new Udra pieces. And the final armor set that I have for you is none other than the Guardian Ebony Odogaron armor set, which from now on I'll be referencing as the Odogaron armor set. This set is very powerful for a couple of reasons, and mainly just one, which is Burst. Burst is one of the most powerful skills that you can obtain in the game, as it provides you with a large boost to your attack provided you keep attacking the monster, and this works for pretty much every single weapon in the game except for the greatsword. I would argue that Burst is, along with weakness exploit, two of the most offensive skills that you can look for on an armor piece, and as you can see, these armor pieces can give you a lot of burst very easily. On screen now I'll be showing you a table of just how powerful burst is for different weapons. This table was created by my fellow creator Lord, who has been very helpful as we exchanged a lot of information as we try to make our builds in the review Discord, so shout out to him. He makes very good content. I'll leave a link to his channel in the description. But all of that to say that burst is a very powerful skill, and as if that wasn't enough, the Odogaron set bonus actually improves upon burst, making it gain even more attack and extending the duration of burst, with the 2-piece set bonus only giving you 3 additional attack and a 4-piece set bonus giving you 10 additional attack. Now you are likely only going to be using 2 different pieces from this armor set, and those would be the helmet and the vambraces, as the helmet gives you burst level 2 together with the level 2 decoration slot. Pretty simple and very effective, as burst is a skill that requires a level 3 decoration slot, and the vambraces give you burst level 1 coupled with a level 2 and a level 1 decoration slot and 1 level of divine blessing for additional survivability. Of course ideally you would have burst level 2 instead of divine blessing, but that would just make this the best vambraces in the entire game, and divine blessing being probably the best defensive skill in the game. Getting closer to getting divine blessing level 3 with this is a nice bonus. And overall I would argue that the waist is also a decent option, but as we have seen in this video, there are a lot better waists that you would be able to craft and mix with these 2 armor pieces, and then you would be able to add skills like bursts on top of those other waists. With that being said, these are what I believe to be the best armor sets that you can craft in Monster Hunter Wilds. Of course, as we'll be getting more title updates, the list is likely going to be changing, but let me know if you guys have been using any of these armor sets, and if there was one that I should have covered in the video that I ended up missing. With that being said, my name is Dark Hero, thank you all so much for watching, and as always, happy hunting!